Good morning, technically morning kind of time for anyone who watches this on YouTube or any time of the day that you're watching this, trying to see if you got a text message, but I don't. So yeah, alright, so this video is just pretty much my answer to the whole what's your orientation? Because people assume that I'm straight automatically. And then if they ever ask me my sexual history or they randomly follow me on Tumblr, they'll be like, why did you post about sex with guys or ever at any point? Are you gay? And I'm like, no. Like, but if you're trying to be a guy and you've had sex with guys and you're gay, and I'm like, not exactly. Okay. So here we go. So I'm like, nah. So let me just, I guess, to clarify for myself, because how I see my relationships working also kind of affects, I guess, what I'm attracted to gender-wise and sex-wise with someone else. Normally, I would say I'm generally not that interested actually in having an emotional relationship with natal males, XY males. Um, I mean, if a guy came along and that presented itself, sure, but for some reason, I don't know. It's just there's just like a bit of a disconnect. But I'm pretty sure if there was a person like thinking about it, I think if anything, if I had to choose a title, queer or pansexual would probably be the closest. And the reason that I say that is because what I actually find attractive, as I'm really starting to just accept it myself, is that I actually accept. I like. I'm not gonna say I don't. It's not andro. It's kind of like androgyny. Is that as much as I like feminine women, my favorite type of feminine woman, I guess you could say, is like down to like specifics, like is like a nice Latina with the dark long hair that does like the nice like makeup with the because I like contrast, so it's like the light skin with the dark hair. It's just the contrast that I like. Um, which is why I tend to go for people who are any other race but black, or if they are, they're light skinned. And that's just because I like the color contrast for some reason. Like when you're hugging them or you're intimate, it's just a it's just so stark, and it's just I don't know, it interests me. So besides that, I've just been known to like really feminine women, feminine looking women, but there's the exception to that. And as I prefer my woman to be able to dress up in like my clothes and not look like a guy, but have like a masculine edge to it. So you look and you know she's a girl, but she's kind of like that man swagger, man. I don't feel like operationally defining that, but sliding it in there. You know what I'm saying? But so when it comes to, I don't mind feminine women, but I've noticed part of what my concern is like being interested in polyamory is because I'm starting to really realize myself that I I can't find one type of person that matches everything that I want. And if I'm not talking about if I exclude personality traits, because that's on a case by case and really specific, that's a whole different topic. When I'm talking about what I want physically, physically or sexually in a person, it's very strange because I don't mind natal male anatomy, but I also don't mind natal female anatomy. Like I actually want both, and maybe not at the same person, but I want them both. But it's not just the genitals necessarily; it's all aspects that are primary and secondary sex characteristics. So I find them both interesting. And so people are like, oh, I'm gonna be bisexual and I have one of each. And I'm like, it's not necessarily that either. It's that I don't want a feminine woman or a masculine man or a feminine man and a masculine. I don't want that. If you haven't noticed from my other videos, I adore drag queens. I honestly, I can't like, right, honestly, that's my favorite kind of woman is a drag queen. Like, at the end of the day, that's like my favorite kind of woman is a drag queen. And it's because I've always had a really severe attraction to really masculine cut faces, masculine musculature. The masculine musculature is very lean. I've just had an attraction to it. But I also love the softness of the femininity. For example, like Willem from oh my goodness, I've been like on a Willem binge recently. The cut of Willem's face. You look at Willem when Willem's in drag, and you can be like, oh yeah, okay, that's a woman, or it's a drag queen. But there's the masculine cut of that face, but the softness of the feminine features, the softness of the hair, the way the makeup sits on his face, it's just gorgeous, and it's like the blending of both. Um, that I like, you know what I'm saying, to create with us, I guess, that third gender, that non-gender, or whatever you want to really define that as, but I love that blend. And so people say, why don't you just go for androgynous people? I'm like, well, the problem then comes down to, at the end of the day, I don't think, I cannot see myself being monogamous with one sex necessarily. And that's because, again, I do appreciate both sexes. I mean, again, outside of gender, like at the end of the day, I do appreciate both sexes. And there are times that I want to engage in aspects of both. And, finding something with a giant slit in it or something that you can get out of the adult outlet is not exactly my definition of. So, again, it's a case by case basis and it loosely moves back and forth. But I would say, if anything, I guess to fit into a box, it'd be pansexual. Um, I just, I really like, for example, like, I'm more apt to date natal females. Or trans women, or even trans men before I am to date like a natal male. And I think part of that's just like there's some social things with that because it's like the only males that I find that are natal males that are like, gay or bisexual tend to fall on like one of either end of the spectrum. They're either like effeminate or they're like, oh my goodness, he's so gay. Or they're really masculine and like dominating. I'm like, I don't want that. So I can't. Um, but I've met a couple of trans guys recently, and I'm like, whoa, because it's just, I mean, there's something masculine about it, but at the same time, there's something like cute about it, like cute. Like, oh, you're kind of cute. Like, oh, I talk to you because maybe it's like a pride thing or like a that weird alpha male sensation where you're just like, I don't have to actually worry about you trying to rape me or something. No, not really, but in some hands, because some guys actually kind of find you and they're just like, oh, you look a pretty boy, and I'm like, can you go away, please? But I don't know, it's something about it, because it's like, I don't know, it's like an essence necessarily, regardless of whatever their parts are. I mean, they could be fully post-op on all fronts, and I wouldn't even know, I wouldn't care. But it's just an essence thing. But yeah, for me, as I'm starting to realize, my sexual attraction to people and physical attraction is, again, devoid of all emotional, because it's a whole different story, is starting to really bend with the genders, because I've always found that gender bending to be very fascinating. But not necessarily, I guess, on a permanent basis, or even if it's just for a performance. It just kind of really depends. So, yeah, yeah, I'm starting to really get into it. And part of the things that I actually kind of enjoy, what the concept, I mean, beforehand I didn't want to ever entertain the idea of being ever with a trans guy, but he'd be like, oh, that's gay. But I don't know. Now I'm starting to be able to more accept the idea that that could be a possibility, depending on who it is. And I'm starting to really just kind of, I guess, evolve in that aspect. So I just wanted to let you all know that, and this is actually one of my shorter videos, so I'm working my way down. I'm about to actually hit up a friend of mine and see if they want to help me with editing, because I do not have the patience for the time. I don't have the focus for that. So, alright, thanks, and I may or may not post another one tonight, but good night to all of you, just in case. Bye!